Hello and welcome to the Fulhamish quick take after Fulham's 2-0 defeat by Chelsea on Monday evening at Craven Cottage. What a disappointing night it was in the SW6 derby. I think we all went into it quite confident. I certainly was. Um, there aren't too many better times to face Chelsea with their run of form. They had injuries, they have suspensions, and Fulham just didn't turn up on the night, did they? It was poor from the first whistle, I thought, really. Yes, it was two defensive errors that led to the two Chelsea goals in 2 minutes, but those goals were coming. And that's, I think, what I was so dispirited by last night. It felt like tactically, I don't think we were set up right. And I don't know if the passion or fight was there from everyone in the team. And there were poor performances all around the pitch from players who normally leave everything out there. And yes, there is an element that some of Chelsea's class and the incredible amounts of money that they spent finally told. That midfield looked good. I thought Moises Caicedo was great. I thought Enzo Fernandez was great. And I thought Conor Gallagher, who for me has flattered to deceive for much of his career. He was one of the best players on the park. Cole Palmer was excellent for Chelsea. And Fulham just weren't competing. And normally, I always kind of back João Palhinha and Harrison Reed to Boston midfield battle. But yesterday, they were just getting bypassed. And Chelsea's players were flooding forward, leaving Tim Ream and Issa Diop horribly exposed. And I think one of the secrets to Fulham's success, and Tim Ream's success in particular, has been that protection that he and the defence have had from the midfield. It's why we are so solid in so many games. But Pochettino and that Chelsea team found a way to get through our midfield, and suddenly it was just raining Chelsea players. And it felt like a matter of time before Chelsea did get their first goal. And I think two players are at fault here. I think that Castagna has to get closer to Levi Colwill there. And Issa Diop, it's just a misreading of the flight of the ball. And as soon as he let that ball go over his head, even someone as out of form and out of confidence as Mikhailo Mudryk was nearly always going to stick that away. And it was just the disaster, really, because it was a tight game. And what we needed to prey on in this game was Chelsea's inability to score goals. And the fact that as games have gone on for Chelsea at 0-0, they've got a bit weary, a bit scared. And at those moments, Chelsea have often conceded in the second half. But giving them the first goal just played right into their hands. Suddenly, the panic button was off for Chelsea. They were able to ease into the match. They were able to control it. And the fact that they then obviously made it two just moments later was just a killer blow. And I remember thinking at that moment, I was like, that's game done. And I know that that's early to say it's a game done. It was 19 minutes in. But with Fulham's inability to score and just the kind of control that you knew a team of Chelsea's class would have, short of us grabbing ourselves back into the game by a fluky goal or a wonder goal or something like that, I just felt like it was game over. And look, it's a poor mistake from Tim Ream. There's no getting away from it. I'm sure Tim will be the first to throw his hands up and say that it was a bad pass. He makes hundreds a game and he got one wrong. And that is sadly life at the top table. Is no one remembers the 99 passes that you made. Everyone remembers the one pass you got wrong. And I mean, extremely unfortunate the way it actually Ream gets to the ball first, the loose ball, and clears it straight into Armando Broja. And that actually, I think, is a bit of bad luck there. But what's not luck was the poor pass. You pass it straight to a Chelsea player. We were outnumbered, and the chances are that they will find a way through when they have a numerical advantage. And just, I think for the rest of the first half, Fulham was shell-shocked. We barely created anything. Raul Jimenez up front, it's another poor game. He just didn't get into it. He had a header from a corner that on another day could have found the back of the net. It was a good header. A couple of moments where a bit of skill broke into the box. I seem to remember from the left-hand side, which was nicely worked from Raul, but he didn't find anyone when he got into the box. But he's just not offering a real threat. And half the time doesn't seem to be in the area that you need him to be in as a centre forward, in the centre of the box. And I just I think now is the time for Carlos to get the nod against Sheffield United. See what he can do from the start. You've given Raul a very fair crack of the whip. You've given him 7 starts. I think it's time to start Carlos. And I don't know if that's going to be the magic bullet that Fulham are searching for. I don't think you're going to start Carlos Vinicius and everything's going to be solved. I think Carlos has problems to his game as well. I don't think he has as much of a presence. He's more of a nuisance up front than Raul Jimenez. I will say that. And yesterday, he just kind of didn't give Thiago Silva and Disasi an easy life. And I do like that about Carlos. He's kind of full of running. He never used to be, but Marco Silva has managed to kind of up his pressing game. And certainly, I think he'll always cause defenders a little bit more of a pain than Raul Jimenez does. But honestly, at this point, I see some fans calling for Rodrigo Muniz. And I mean, we are really talking desperate times if we're actually considering that he might be our best striker option. For what it's worth, I'm not convinced. As well as he did for about 10 minutes against Norwich in the Cup, I think there's a long way before Rodrigo Muniz is our starting striker. But it's just tough to take, isn't it? I mean, the second half, we were improved. We had chances. Carlos Vinicius with a couple of headers. We worked the ball into the box nicely. A couple of where we should have done better. And obviously, the biggest chance falls to, of all players, Sasa Lukic. Brilliant control and pass from Tom Cairney. It should have been a goal. I mean, Sasa Lukic isn't a striker. It's hard to criticize someone that's just come off the bench who's a CDM for not finishing. He got his foot to it. He did pretty much all he could there. And um, yeah, even if we'd have got that to 2-1, I don't see that Fulham would have got it back to 2-2. Of course, there would have been a chance. It was certainly would have made the last 12 minutes of the game plus the 5 minutes of stoppage time much more interesting than it was. But ultimately, I think we've just been even more heartbroken when we came so close to potentially trying to get back into the game, because I think Chelsea would have seen it out, because I think ultimately they held us slightly as arm's length. And yes, they were a little bit complacent, Chelsea, with letting us get back into it at 2-0. But I think because they always knew they had the 2-goal cushion. I think if they were defending a 2-1 lead, brittle as they might be confidence-wise, I think still that Fulham would have struggled. You never know. Could have scored a wonder goal. And so therefore it is a missed opportunity for Sasa Lukic to make it 2-1 there. But I don't know. Maybe I'm just being pessimistic. As for much of the rest of the team, I think Timothy Castagna is brilliant going forward. He found a lot of space on the right-hand side behind Levi Colwill and mostly made the right decisions. I'm not 100% sure he's as good as defending as Kenny Tete. As seen, I don't think Kenny Tete would have let Levi Colwill have it so easily down that left-hand side for the first goal. But I think he's positive going forward. Other positives, Iwobi off the bench, I thought was magnificent. Really liked him as well when he moved to the right-hand side as well. And I just think that he had so much. He's unpredictable. You don't know what he's going to do. He's really gracious on the ball. He's really skillful. He seems to just make things happen. He drives with the ball. I think it's time now for Iwobi to be worked into this team some way. I mean, the beautiful thing is that he is versatile. So there has to be a position available for him to take, whether it's on the right, whether it's on the left. I mean, Willian was really poor last night. And I don't know. I felt like last season we got Chelsea Willian, and this season so far it's felt a little bit like Arsenal Willian. Maybe a couple of games, not against the likes of Chelsea or Palace, tough defenses would be handy. Maybe Willian just needs a little bit of confidence, even when he's getting moments where he can get a shot away. He had a moment last night. He had a shot against Palace. He keeps just like hitting it to the goalkeeper, not finding the corners, just like he did last season. Just seems like a little bit of that Willian spark has gone. It could come back, and I'm sure it isn't just age catching up with him. That's too simplistic. But I think that it's certainly a concern. I thought Harry Wilson was okay. He has moments. He gets, he got in well as well down the right-hand side a few times during the first half. It just feels like the killer ball was never there, but it doesn't feel like any player in this team's capable of delivering the killer ball. Anthony Robinson got into good positions last night. Final ball found a Chelsea player. It feels so much watching Fulham at the moment. You get excited, we go forward, we progress well with the ball through the midfield and through the defense. We get into a position out wide, and you're like, here we go. Oh, I found an opposition player. Even against Norwich, it felt like that was the case so often where we got into good positions, we worked it out nicely. There's either just a lack of options in the box or a poor final ball, probably a combination of both, that's just killing Fulham right now. And you look at the last few games, 1 goal against Luton Town, and we didn't deserve any more in that game. And a keeper fumble, let's be honest. No goals against Palace, created some good chances, but couldn't finish them. Struggled to score against a second string Norwich City side who had just come off the back of conceding 6 to Plymouth. And then no goals last night. The goal scoring is a real issue. And I think it goes back to the summer recruitment, which I think was mostly good. I do think it was mostly good. I think some signings that we've made are really smart. But the big gaping, glaring hole is the fact we got nearly £50 million for Alexander Mitrovic, and we didn't properly replace him. And Marco Silva came out and said that he was happy with his trio of strikers of Jimenez, of Vinicius, of Rodrigo Muniz. I can't believe he's still happy. Can't believe he's watching that and thinking, oh, this is all fine. We'll turn this around. That's what he'll tell the media. But what's he saying behind closed doors? Because I can't imagine he's happy. I really don't think that Fulham will splash the cash in January for a striker, but I think we have to look at all options. I think we have to examine what is out there, because I see a long, hard season, and I still think Fulham have got enough to survive in this division. I mean, Saturday is going to be a massive game once again, but I think it's going to be pretty tough at times. I think we're going to see a lot of games like yesterday where teams know that if they can come to Craven Cottage and get a goal, that'll probably be enough, because Fulham are going to struggle to score more than 1 goal in any game. We've only done it once, only the Arsenal game, where Fulham have scored more than once, really, in an entire game. And that is concerning. It is concerning. I think Saturday is huge now. This is a Sheffield United team that lost meekly 2-0 to West Ham at the weekend, obviously lost 8-0 to Newcastle. And there's pressure. There's pressure on Fulham to win this game. And there's pressure not just for us to win, but win it convincingly. And, I fear that if the first half is goalless, then Fulham will be nervous. Sheffield United are still looking for that first win in the league. They will get some confidence. So, yeah, I'm a little bit dreading Saturday. Whereas before, I kind of like, oh, here we go. If we can get a result against Chelsea, and then we'll have some confidence going into this Sheffield United game. Now it feels like the Luton game all over again, where you're like, this is one of the 3 or 4 that you have to win. You have to win if you want to be clear of relegation, let alone survive. Just to be head above water, you have to win these kind of games. And now the pressure is back on once again. And Marco's going to have to find for us a way to break through defensive. And Sheffield United are going to come on Saturday, and they are going to do a low block, and Fulham are going to find it tough to break them open. An early goal unsettles Sheffield United, and it should be fine. But it's a question of how long it's going to take to get that opening goal. And that's why, for me, I think you have to start Vinicius. It's great bringing him on at 60 minutes, and he does do well when he comes off the subs bench, but we need a goal early on. And I think Carlos Vinicius is the most likely to score, if far from the perfect option. If you want more reaction to the game, then please do check out the podcast. It's going to be dropping later on this afternoon with George hosting. And if you're at the Sheffield United game, we'd love you to come along to the Fulhamish live show at the Half Moon after the Sheffield United game. We've done these a few times now. We record a live podcast in front of an audience at the Half Moon Putney. It's an awesome, awesome venue. We're going to be on stage. We're going to be answering your questions. We're going to be doing a live This Will Catch On. And we have special guest Marcus Speller joining us on stage, host of the Football Ramble, converted Fulham fan. So if you're around after the Sheffield United game, we would love to see you there. It's going to be a really, really fun evening. There is a link to the tickets in the description of this video, or head to the Fulhamish website. So a disappointing evening for Fulham, far from terminal. Let's get things into a bit of perspective, but to lose both derby games at home in the first couple of months of the season is obviously pretty depressing, but we can go a little way to making amends if we can get a win on Saturday. Thanks for watching. Come on, you Whites.